Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at Ripple and XRP, as I have information that I do not think we should have access to, and so I have the documentation for the banking transactions that are going to be taking place. And so if you enjoy this type of content, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for future videos. Also turn on that bell notification to be notified as soon as I make a video. And so let's go ahead and jump right into it here. Let's take a look at the Ripple price right now. We're at 57 cents currently. Now we did have this big move up from about 50 cents all the way up to 65 cents when the lawsuit announcement was made. Now that is not officially over yet. However, I still think we're going to see implementation of Ripple in the future, and so I am very bullish on this cryptocurrency. And so if you're interested, there is a link underneath the video to Weeks Exchange. This exchange has no KYC and it is a simple email registration. And so they have many different cryptocurrencies on here. They have spot and futures trading, and they do have a Futures Pro tutorial here showing how to leverage trade if you're interested. Now this is simple to use, and so I definitely recommend checking that out. And so let's go ahead and take a look at the documentation I am talking about here. We can see that this is the Ripple documentation for banking and transactions. And so we can see they have an overview here. They have payment settings. They have a ton of information on here. Right? I mean, if we take a look at the payments here, we can see the payments page in the Ripple payments UI displays a list of payments showing exactly how this takes place. Right? I mean, they have tutorials here showing how to do everything, whether you're sending an individual payment or troubleshooting. They have all the error codes there as well. And so there's a ton of information here providing the banks and financial institutions with the information that they need. And so before we dig deeper into this information here, I'd like to take a look at a video from Brad Garlinghouse explaining why Ripple could replace SWIFT. That is the financial messaging system used today.
Messages, you're sending messages to banks to release liquidity and making sure the debits and credits match. So to some degree, really boil it down, Ripple's competing with the liquidity of Citi and the messaging of SWIFT, but in one, because we're both messaging and liquidity. And at the end of the day, again, as I described, SWIFT was developed 50 plus years ago. It architecturally hasn't really changed. It does remain slow, days. It does remain, relatively speaking, expensive. And actually, interestingly, it's quite error prone. And part of that is just, it's a one-way messaging protocol. So if I fat finger Tassos and I put one S instead of two in the middle, I guess you have three S's, but that will bounce back. They'll say, no, that account name doesn't match that person. That's an error. Now, if you use modern technology, you would get a real time, you're typing in Tassos an account number, you get a real time, okay, does that account match? Oh, I mistyped, I fat fingered that name. So the efficiency, we see, instead of a 6% error rate as reported for SWIFT, you see 10 bips of error, so 99.9% effective. So we think these are better technologies that can be applied broadly to the vast majority of, frankly, all of the banking system by selling it as a wholesaler, if you will. And therefore, if we don't compete with the WeChats, WeChat could be a customer of ours.
You touched upon something that I think is very relevant and something we've heard a lot about, and that's regulation, right? You look at crypto, and if I look back, crypto started as something that was more anti-regulation, anti-system following the financial crisis of '08, and yet you are an advocate of regulation. How do you reconcile these two?
When I first got exposed to crypto, there's no question that the perspective was anti-government. Bitcoin kind of came from that heritage, and I always thought these are amazing technologies. But if you wanted to have the broadest impact for the broadest population, you needed to work with the system and work with governments, work with regulators. So for really since the beginning of Ripple's life, we've been engaging regulators globally. And that has, I think, been to our benefit for sure, in lots of different jurisdictions. The United States, interestingly, is really behind lots of other countries. And here in Davos, I've made the argument to the various sessions around crypto that we spend too much time talking about the U.S. regulatory framework because it's quite a bit behind countries like the UK or Japan. Well, certainly Switzerland was early and aggressive in codifying and being specific about what the regulatory framework for crypto would look like. And when you're clear about the framework, that allows entrepreneurs and investment capital to flow in because it reduces risk. When you don't know what that looks like, if you're an entrepreneur, one of the first pieces of advice I give people is don't start your company in the United States at this point until the rules are clear. Most crypto entrepreneurs, I find, they want to follow the rules of the road, but if you don't know what the rules of the road are,
you make them up or you don't know where to be.
Yeah, so if you operate and start, we're a very global business. If you were a Swiss company, well, you know what the Swiss regulatory frameworks look like. Even countries like the UAE and frankly even South Africa is getting ahead of the United States.
Very interesting perspective.
And so we can see there that Brad Garlinghouse is explaining how the system is outdated, right? I mean, we have Swift that was developed 50 years ago. There's better technology out there. It is faster, it's cheaper, and it is potentially safer, right? And so that's definitely information that I think is very beneficial to the use case of Ripple moving forward. Now, Ripple has always been working with regulation since day one, right? I've been in cryptocurrency since 2017, and I definitely remember them jumping right to regulation. Now, we still don't have regulatory clarity in the US, right? There's not information out there for that. However, we're going to be receiving clarity on stablecoins potentially by the end of the year, maybe before the election. And so that could definitely be the regulatory clarity that we are looking for the technology of Ripple to be implemented. And so let's go ahead and take a look at some more information here. As I mentioned, let's take a look at the payment flow. And so the following diagram represents a Ripple payments direct use case with 3 RippleNet nodes. And so we can see the sending customer here will utilize Ripple, and then they can send that to XRP here to the payment partner. And so we can see the different steps here. And so the sending customer enter payment information into the Ripple payments UI. The intermediary, Ripple, validates the transaction. If both the risk and compliance checks are successful, Ripple will approve the transaction. And so the payment partner now validates the transaction. If their compliance checks are successful, they will approve the transaction, and then XRP will be moved and converted to the destination currency for distribution by the payment partner. And so if we go ahead and take a look at XRP here on the documentation, we can see this is the native currency of the XRP ledger. All accounts in the XRP ledger can send XRP among one another and must hold a minimum amount of XRP as a reserve. And so this is huge right here, right? This is stating that if they want to use the technology developed by Ripple using XRP Ledger, they have to have a reserve of XRP. And so this could definitely create a lot of demand for XRP moving forward. And so if we go ahead and take a look at some more information here, as I've been mentioning, Ripple has started testing their own stablecoin. And so they announced this a few months ago that they're going to have their own stablecoin, and now they're entering beta testing. And so there is a crowded market out there, right? There's USDT, the largest stablecoin on the market, currently at $110 billion valuation. We have USDC, Circle, right? Now they have some compliance, which is very valuable. Now, Ripple is also going to have that compliance with their stablecoin as well. And so with the bill being passed this fall, I think that is what the focus is going to be on. Now, Tether does not have the regulation and compliance in place. And so I think we could start seeing Ripple and USDC take a lot of that market share. And so if we go ahead and take a look at the bill here, we can see that this was introduced on July 20th, 2023. And this is Clarity for Payment Stablecoins Act of 2023. And so this is the bill that they're talking about that could potentially be passed by elections of this year. And so that is what JP Morgan is saying here. We can see that JP Morgan is saying that the stablecoin bill may be passed by elections. And so this is likely to be approved by then, but it does pose a threat to Tether's dominance according to JP Morgan, as reported by CoinDesk. And so that is definitely something to be paying attention to, right? As I mentioned, USDT holds a majority of the stablecoin market. However, with the introduction of these other stablecoins that are compliant and meeting regulatory standards, they could start taking a lot of that market share. And so that's definitely something to be paying attention to as well. And so as I mentioned, the Ripple lawsuit has been going on for about 4 years, and now they have finally closed the case. However, there is a chance that they could appeal this. They have 90 days from that date. And so the Ripple legal chief anticipates possible SEC appeal in the XRP case despite court's 10% reversal rate. And so there is potential that this could happen here. However, if it does not, it's going to be very bullish for Ripple as well moving forward. I do believe that this technology is going to go into effect, right? If there's better technology out there that we could be using, why wouldn't we, right? However, I understand that this does not happen overnight. This could be looked into for multiple years before it is fully implemented and tested to ensure they want to make this change. And so if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for future videos. And also make sure to check out that link underneath the video to Week's Exchange. We can see here, we do have Ripple slightly starting to move up here. And so this could be a good opportunity here to be buying Ripple or opening a long position. Thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video.